Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking in Bits. But before we actually get to the show, I wanted to remind you guys that Talking in Bits is completely 100% audience funded. What that basically means is that you will never have to sit through no ads while you're listening to Talking in Bits. And the only way we can continue to do that and have been able to do that is with contributions and donations with great listeners such as yourself. So in order to keep that spirit alive, there's a few ways that you can actually donate to the show. My favorite way is Podcasting 2.0 apps. There's a bunch of them out there, but my two favorite are Fountain app and Breeze. And with these apps, it's basically like any other podcasting app. You can subscribe to Talking in Bits. You can load up some sats into the wallet, and you can set how many sats per minute you think Talking in Bits is worth or how much value you're receiving from Talking in Bits. You can do this from both of those apps. Another really cool feature in these apps, these Podcast 2.0 apps, is the Boost feature. And what the Boost feature is basically you get to pick a certain amount of sats that you want to send in, and you can embed a message inside of that transaction into the show. And what I'm going to do is, week to week, the best ones that come in, I'm going to read them and give shout outs here live on the show. So that's another way that you can help keep this ad-free and keep this content rolling. If you're not using the Podcast 2.0 apps, then you can head on over to talkinginbits.com/donate. And there you'll find various links to be able to send in Lightning, to be able to send on-chain, and even to Payname. So go check out the website. That's another way to contribute. And if you're listening to us on the legacy outlets like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, then you could do the good old-fashioned leave a review, share, subscribe. All that stuff helps and helps us float up higher so more people can get this value and more people could get everything that we want to provide to our listeners. So once again, we appreciate you. The only reason we've been able to keep this up is because of y'all, and we want to keep that going for as long as we can. All right, without further ado, on to this week's episode.
Scarcity premium. Cannot exceed 21 million. The hardest money that has ever been invented.
I also made the case for owning Bitcoin. The quintessence of scarcity premium.
Scarcity premium.
It's literally the only large tradable asset in the world that has a known fixed maximum supply. By its design, the total quantity of Bitcoins cannot exceed 21 million.
Cannot exceed 21 million.
Bitcoin is the hardest money that has ever been invented.
If you don't have my private key, you cannot spend my Bitcoin, period. And this is the power of Bitcoin.
It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights.
Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking in Bits, where we walk you through Bitcoin bit by bit so we can provide you with the information you need to succeed and persist. Back with episode 79, and I got Good Texas Slim here in the house for the second go-around. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing well. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'm in Austin, and it's been a good trip.
Yeah,
so
I'm in
it's
Austin.
Cool. You are. You made it from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was telling you last night, I'm a refugee. I exiled from Massachusetts.
How you liking it, man?
I love it. I love it. It's, a lot of nerves when it comes to coming down here and thinking like, is it all hype? Is it real? Like what people were saying about Austin?
Sure.
And it's lived up to it 1,000%. It's been a great experience.
Well, I'm glad you're having a good honeymoon. There'll be parts of it you'll get tired of, the traffic and whatnot. But if you strategically place yourself, you'll be fine. That's
a good point. I mean,
what you're going to do? You're going to create a new market access to a little freedom.
And we're going to talk about market access here. We were just talking about market access. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, about the traffic, this is baby traffic. Yeah, this isn't really traffic. So I'm humbled at that. And just being able to be closer to all this. This is the very first episode, as you know, filmed here in the beautiful Bitcoin Commons, in the beautiful TFTC studios.
We have to thank Marty, Parker, everybody, Carr. Oh my gosh, what they've done here is amazing.
It's amazing.
Commons. Yeah, last night was very cool.
Last night was very fun, for sure. So first episode here for the listeners. We've made it. We made it to Austin. We're here. I told y'all bigger things for Talking in Bits, and here we are. But Slim, I think we should just get right into it, just because we were just talking about it and it's fresh in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Bitcoiners out here that are following your message and have been following you, hear you talk a lot about market access. Now, the big problem with not market access, but with how people interpret things is that they think they know what market access is, and then they're gonna run, and when they go and try to spread your message, they kind of taint the message because they're not saying the correct stuff.
Right.
So please, for those that don't know or think they know, market access in your eyes.
Oh my gosh, it's daunting, but here we go, right?
Let's go.
No, it was. I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, and it's like, where do you interject yourself into, where do you interject yourself into the issues, as far as consumption models, and where do you interject yourself into basically the solution of, that you're designing and engineering for yourself? Well, you have to create an understanding first of market access. And whenever we look at market access, what does that mean? Well, it means how you consume. Really, it does. What is your market access to your food? Well, most people, it's the supermarket. That's their market access. Well, let's break down the market access beyond the supermarkets. What happens behind the supermarkets? Well, there's so many things globally that goes on with that type of market access that you're allowing yourself, or that you're choosing to be a consumer from a supermarket, that it's not a true understanding of market access. Whenever, growing up, my market access to our food, as a kid, my parents raising me in West Texas, our market access was the rancher. It wasn't the supermarket. The market access that we used for me growing up to really establish my core belief system of what food was my grandfather's farm. That was our market access, and everybody can basically develop that type of, peer-to-peer contact in an easier way than they're allowing themselves. The reason they don't allow themselves to think about what market access is because they don't think they have any options anymore. Yeah. They think that they're hamstrung, and they think that, well, I'm in the city, you were up in, Boston area, right?
Yep.
And so your market access is totally different from, a poor boy from West Texas, right?
Yeah.
But if we intentionally kind of say, okay, how am I going to eliminate all those touch points that I don't know about within my market access? Well, the best person to learn that from is the rancher. And so whenever I started this over 3 years ago in my conversations that I've had across the board, across the nation, every rancher said the biggest issue in our nation right now when it comes to food, nutrition, and health is a lack of market access to food, nutrition, and health.
Right.
So you break down the medical, pharmaceutical, agricultural complex. Okay, what is your market access to feel good if you need prescriptions? Well, it's to a pharmaceutical company. That's the medicine. So your market access to feeling good is basically centralized, controlled by a global corporation. What is my market access to my food consumption? Well, it's to the industrial food complex. What is market access to the medical field? Don't get me started with the medical field, from what we just did. So if you can kind of start thinking, instead of being a consumer, start being an exchanger of value.
Yep.
Then you understand that market access is a hell of a lot more empowering, important, and achievable right now, more so than people know, but it requires decentralized thinking. It's like, how am I going to quit thinking in this centralized apparatus that has gotten us here?
Right.
And if you can take that step back and to define that as the individual self, then you're going to say, well, man, my best friend, I'm going to go barter with my best friend that's a rancher. Screw this. I'm never going to give myself market access to the supermarket beef ever again.
Yeah.
I'm putting my foot down. That's just how it is. I know that I can get that quality. I can be an exchanger of values and goods with them in a peer-to-peer transactional way, either fiat, Bitcoin, handshake, whatever the hell it is. You've created a market access that is going to lead into the intentionality of your health, of your food consumption, and a lot of times your audio and video consumption.
Yeah.
So whenever I talk about market access, I don't watch TV. I don't give myself market access to TV. I don't give myself market access to the fear porn that everybody loves to do and scroll every day. I don't give my market access to McDonald's. I don't give myself market access. What I do is I engineered market access basically across the country now to where I don't have to play that game anymore.
Right.
And it's decentralized.
Right.
And it's built on relationships.
So for those, like, it's going to require, you said decentralized thinking is the way that, you're going to be able to, kind of follow in that same process that you're thinking. So what type of event is it going to take in somebody's life? Like for me, I would say it was Bitcoin, right? To be able to get that decentralized thinking. Is Bitcoin the premier way, or what are some other examples that can actually get somebody to switch their thinking because as you know, it's extremely convenient to just follow the trend.
Sure.
Extremely convenient to, that medicine makes me feel good, this, that. So are we running out of life-changing situations or things that come into our lives to get us to get better market access or think in that way?
I think what we're running out of is the critical thinking skills and the cognitive ability to understand that you're not as trapped as you think you are. Because what we do is we fear porn all day, we doom screw all day. We don't really go out there and take a step back and pause and look at the playing field. Let's act like you're looking at a field. You got to point your compass in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, what does that start? Well, it starts with understanding and research. You get to the source of the seed of the problem. You're going to find the source of the seed of the solution as the individual, right?
Yeah.
So if you're able to do that in low time preference, we always talk about that in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is Bitcoin. For me, it was a combination of diving back into food intelligence of my past of agriculture and ranching, and then also bringing along the decentralized ethos of Bitcoin. So before I was a Bitcoiner, I was actually made sure that I gave myself market access to decentralized philosophy, decentralized thought, decentralized history, how it worked. It took a long time to get there. And then once I did all that legwork, that groundwork of the decentralized mindset, then I went deeper into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a manual.
Right.
Bitcoin is what the individual makes it. So I look at, everything I do right now, 100% is driven off of beef. Bitcoin is secondary. It's a tool.
Yeah.
It's not going to save the world until we learn how to utilize it in a way that basically people are not afraid to adopt it. So, you don't just push Bitcoin on people. You let people find it themselves holistically and naturally. But what you do is you paint that roadmap for them. I use food. Some people might use, mechanical engineering. Sure. Some people might use software engineering. Who knows what it is? There's so many people doing, here last night, crowd health.
Yep.
They're going to be orange pilling people through a different option for insurance, health insurance. So people are going to learn Bitcoin through maybe adopting their type of health insurance. And so what I always tell people now today, instead of just being, that repeater of cycles of Bitcoin,
right?
Find out what is the most important thing in your life. Whatever it is, relationship building with food, or relationship building with people, relationship building with innovation within mechanical engineering, whatever it is, being a pilot, whatever it is, find out what you're truly passionate about and bring Bitcoin along for the ride.
Right.
And saying, okay, Bitcoin, we're doing this together. How do we find a way to where we can make it symbiotic? And that's what we've done within the Beef Initiative. And we've achieved many different new leverages with Bitcoin for the ranchers, the producers, and there's going to be more and more that we find out because we took that step back and saying, okay, I'm not going to lead with Bitcoin. I'm going to lead with relationship building. I'm going to lead with pure food. I'm going to lead with the sources of the seed of the solution. The source of the seed of the solution is to give people decentralized market access to beef and Bitcoin now. So that's where we've gone in this short period of time.
So identifying the problem and finding the right tool to provide the solution for that problem. That sounds so elementary, but that's kind of the basics of what's happening here.
Well, I tell everybody it's so simple, it's complicated. Because what we do is we get stuck in paralysis, analysis paralysis. We're going to save the world. We're going to feed the world. We're going to end starvation. Well, you better start with yourself first.
For sure.
You're not going to be a strong individual. You're not going to educate anybody unless you're fully educated.
Right.
Until you can get up here like where I am, this took years to get here.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy doing it and I don't look to script my life anymore. I just flow with it.
Yeah.
But I lead with a market access in my mind first of decentralization. I'm not going to do something today unless I'm doing it in a decentralized way. If it's not something I can do in a decentralized way, I'll find the most centralized way that I'm okay with. And it's a hard stamp that you have to give yourself. It's obligation. It's accountability.
Right.
And, the individual self has to be willing to do that. And once they are, then they're ready to move on.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The one thing that worries me is that the common individual, doesn't start making that turn until potentially something bad happens in their life, whether it's a health
Most
situation.
definitely.
And that's
Sure.
what, with all this information that's out there with what you're doing, and it's all there, it's all visual, but man, are people so zombie to the point where they're just going to wait until that diagnosis or
Sure.
that situation. And that's what worries me the most.
It is, and I think that unfortunately we are there in that day and time. And to be transparent, I mean, I've told people, I grew up West Texas. I grew up cowboy life type, rough and tumble.
Yeah.
Basically, I've got over 20 broken bones. I've had 14 pieces of metal in me, broken my neck. I've got all kinds of health shit that I've had to go through that I've been put back together. I truly have.
Yeah.
Several times whenever I said I got back into food intelligence, well, that was because I was pretty beat up.
Right.
I had an internal injury, got knocked down pretty hard. Wasn't because of anything nefarious. It was just, I was hurt, And so I said, well, I got to look at food. And so, but I got pretty close to freaking leaving this place.
Yeah.
And, I was given like 6 weeks at one time. They couldn't figure it out. But I had an internal injury to where, I was retaining fluid. They thought I had cancer. They thought all kinds of shit. So I had to get to the source of the seed of the problem.
Right.
It took time. And then I had to get to the source of the seed of the solution. And I said, well, if you're going to be beat up, I was weighing about 120 pounds to tell you the truth.
Wow.
And so I've got pictures, and maybe one of these days everybody can see, but I look like I was out of a concentration camp.
Wow.
I look like I was starving to death. And so I said, okay, here we go. This is my shot. You've been beat up a lot. You probably shouldn't be here already.
Yeah.
So let's look at your health. Let's look at what food is, and let's remember where you come from. And it started with that simple little equation that I was willing to ask myself first, but I knew I had a core belief system in a thought process where I could leverage that, because I'd given up on all this bullshit out here in the centralized world, especially, this was before COVID, and then COVID hit, and that just really got me into Bitcoin and deeper into food intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, your intuitions are right. Things are kind of fucked up.
Right.
So let's get there. So I did go through a health scare. And so I was willing to look over the ledge and say, okay, no more.
Yep.
So what tools are you going to bring along with you to take these next steps?
Right.
And if the individual can do that, you don't have to get to that point. What you can do is, acceptance is the key. You can say, hey man, I'm not happy, or hey man, I'm overweight, or hey man, I'm tired of I'm tired of eating every 4 hours. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of not being passionate about life. I'm tired of not having that market access to happiness.
Right.
Well, it does start with maybe sometimes it is something that is scary in your life.
Yeah.
And it takes you to the edge, or that you're just disgusted with.
Yeah, perfectly said. And I'll give you a personal experience from just being disgusted.
Self-help hour, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's beneficial for listeners to hear this, because a lot of the times we wrestle with this stuff on our own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't really want people to know how we feel, and then it's just time wasted. So in my experience, I've always battled with weight my whole life, and at one point, about a decade ago, when I got married to my wife, I was sitting at like close to 400 pounds.
Really?
Right? So yeah, I was just like, and then in my mind, I was disgusted with myself.
Sure.
I mean, sure, my wife was still in love with me, all that good stuff, but it didn't matter. I wasn't, performing the way I wanted to perform. I wasn't the man that I wanted to be. I started to have children. I wasn't feel like I was the leader that they needed to be.
Yeah.
But then ultimately, that disgust mixed with, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because I was so destroyed internally that I would have like this like acid, like it's not just typical acid reflux. I literally had to throw up every night.
Sure.
So it was just my stomach and everything inside basically saying, hey man, you're fucking hammering this food so far down your fucking throat, this junk, this poison, that now you can't even go to bed without us being able to digest this crap. And then, so it was the disgust mixed with that situation.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctors to try to figure this out. Bad idea. We all know that. And they just started loading me up. Here's lisinopril. Here's, all this other nonsense for high blood pressure and all this other stuff.
Sure.
And I had enough, right? And then that's that moment that you kind of encountered when you were going through that. And it was just that turning where it was like, this is either going to make me a better person and I got to figure this shit out. Market access, fine. Better market access. Or it's just going to beat me and I'm just going to be this fucking guy forever.
Sure.
And thankfully here I am, shaved over 200 pounds of that. and just, feeling better than ever here in Austin, doing what I got to do, right?
Congratulations.
Family. Thank you. But it's hard. It's fucking hard.
So what?
No, I know. I just want people to know it's not easy.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking in general.
Okay.
So the fuck what?
Right.
It's hard. Are we afraid of hard?
No.
Are we afraid of living in a form of survival that all of our ancestors had to live into? Why are we so damn entitled? Why? Because we won a world war? Seriously.
Yeah.
Why are we entitled in the United States of America? Is it because we're more innovative?
Right.
Well, really, we're not. I mean, I've been around the world. I've driven the United States this last 3 years.
Yeah.
It looks like we're in a depression in rural America, in the deep urban parts of our cities. That's just the facts. Let's be transparent here. And so if you look at a society that is basically, there's so many good things about society right now. There really is. Beautiful parts of it. Architecture. There's a lot of things that are wonderful. But if you look at, where we've come from and where we're going and comparing it to the rest of the world and the innovation and the creativity, we're not doing so good.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons we're not is because we have an overwhelming desire for convenience that has led to a sense of complacency. And then whenever you tie that, let's take it to food. Whenever your food desires are based on convenience, you've lost. It's just a matter of time. You know this.
Absolutely.
With your journey.
Yeah.
Whenever you're towards food or life, whenever your philosophy is based on survival, true survival, then you're going to basically have a sense of accountability and a sense of obligation to something. Maybe it's to your children. Maybe it's to your ancestors. Maybe it's to your community in which you live in. Whatever it is, that's up to the individual itself to take. We've taken that away.
Yeah.
We've taken that account. You're going to have to answer to somebody.
Yeah.
Whether you be a religious or a person of God or Jesus or Allah or Buddha or, the Tao, whatever it is, you're going to have to answer. And so if you can come to that place in your mind, it's like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay for it to be hard because, if you don't engineer your own suffering upon yourself, the suffering will be engineered upon you. And you have to realize that that's not, being a masochist here.
Yeah.
It's basically saying, hey, I'm going to do the hard work now. Since I'm going to have to do this hard work, it's going to be hard. It's going to suffer, but I know the outcome because I've already created that destination. What is your destination? It was to lose, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got a new destination, don't you? You and I have talked.
Yeah.
You've got plans.
I got plans.
And it's part of the journey.
Continue to build that. Yeah.
But would you ever go back now?
No, never.
Was
never.
it hard?
Incredibly hard.
The most valuable thing in the world is for something to be difficult.
Indeed. And the most lessons learned. I agree.
Yeah.
Now that on the other side, in retrospect, as people say, I would never go back. It's one of those. I just want, more people, especially the ones that are listening that find themselves in that scenario where it's like, I got to push forward or just keep fucking pushing.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing. There's nothing for you back there. I always like to use my death is always upon you, right? Every single day, death is basically, you're losing those days. You're never going to get those days back. So for me, I was about 25 years old at that point. I'm like, look, this is what the first 25 years of my life have given me. Following that narrative, following that story, doing, that. Do I want this to be my other 25, my next 25, right? And then that was just easy enough for me to, let me try something new.
Yeah.
And then it was like a thread, like you said, it took 3 years for you to get to this position where you started talking about the beef initiative to where you are now. Well, that's sort of how it was with me. I was like, I didn't lose weight at first. Nothing happened. I mean, it was a lot of bullshit, fell into the hands of a lot of charlatans, right? A lot of things out there that I wanted to try and do, but I kept going. Yeah. And then eventually you reach this point where it just skyrockets and you figure it out and you get something. And then, like you said, then there's the next thing to figure out and then the next thing to figure out. But yeah, if people are listening to get anything out of it, it's that there will be that moment that actually turns the table for you. But there'll be a lot of nothing in the meantime.
Yeah, there is. You got to embrace the darkness. You got to embrace the suck. We have all these things, that we say, but really you got to just be okay, man. Yeah. You got to be okay with yourself.
Absolutely.
And, this is what I always like to tell you because people do suffer, man. They suffer every day. We have a quiet desperation. I believe it was Joe Rogan said that, a couple of years back. But, everything that I do, I always like to preface, man, this isn't a judgment against anybody, man. This is just like, hey, it's better out there if you just kind of point your compass over here.
Right.
We're all part of this. We've all contributed to it. What part did we play in all of this? We all did. I mean, our consumer demand, our desires. Are we gluttonous as people? No, we're usually pretty trustworthy.
Yeah.
We want to do the right things. Overall, we really do. Well, that's been hijacked. That intentionality of being, a trustworthy person. Trust requires a leap of faith. You have to be courageous.
Sure.
Especially these days.
Yeah.
Whenever you can stand on your own 2 feet and be courageous and just say, fuck it. I'm not going to worry about judgment. I'm not going to worry about, being called out. I believe in my instincts. I believe in my intuition. I believe in my desire that is based on truth and value and merit. Then you can be okay. But it does take a little time. There is a void of time in there to where you are second guessing. And the worst thing that we got going on in this life is not out there. It's right in here. It's the self-talk. It is that basically, that analysis paralysis of fear that we get into in life. And if you look at basically a lot of people's consumption models when it's audio and video, it's all based on fear. Yeah. It's not based on empowerment.
No.
I mean, you think about you change programming in this nation right now from the audio to the video of truly good accomplishments. Everybody's like, nobody would watch it. You'd bullshit. They would watch it.
Yeah,
but it'd take time. There would be a void. And people are afraid of the void.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want no part of it. Yeah.
No.
It's yeah, definitely. And then the people that are like pulling out the fear porn, they basically somewhere down the road set themselves up to be the savior as well.
Of course.
And that's to
United States government, food supply, everybody. The diet programs that are on a 12-month cycle, it just never stops.
Yeah, right. Because they want you to keep coming back.
Sure, man.
So what are your thoughts, Slim, on this is touchy subject that when it comes to like where capitalism should end, right? And where it doesn't apply. And what I mean by that is that a lot of this convenience, especially like in the pharmaceuticals and all these other big conglomerates, is because they were able to capitalize on, your convenience, your soothing, these things. But then you have somebody who's running these businesses, and pharmaceuticals we all know is evil, so that's probably not a good example. But somebody who's borderline doing something honest, but also capitalizing on convenience. Like when does it show that when does that line get drawn of like, all right, you're just being a capitalist now versus, are you actually contributing to society?
Right. Well, you look at who contributed to our society in which we, you go back to the Rockefellers, you go back to all that kind of stuff, and you can look at how capitalism got hijacked. It's been hijacked. It was hijacked after World War II. It was hijacked back in 13, 17, those days and time. Well, capitalism ends, and whenever, you can print money out of thin air, doesn't it? It's done.
Yeah.
There's no capitalism.
Yeah.
Actually, is there? Yeah, there is capitalism, because within that type of mass prohibition of basically purchasing power and value of our monetary systems, guess what? There's a new form of capitalism coming up behind it. Truth always wins. We can look at capitalism right now, how bad it has exploited our world, the human spirit, and, our earth. Yeah. They get to leverage that against us, that the earth is destroyed. And so, that's a bad form of capitalism that captures the human spirit.
Yeah.
Well, right now, within Bitcoin's a form of capitalism. It's based on truth and value and transparency and honesty, obligation, proof of work, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So really, the perception of capitalism needs to be truly redefined, I think.
Yeah.
Once we can all kind of accept that, things are screwed up, but then a lot of people aren't, because a lot of people are very, very much, being rewarded to exploit capitalism.
Right.
Those are the people that are in control. Once again, the medical, pharmaceutical, agricultural complex. Man, they're firing on all cylinders, but they're scared too, because they know that the value is basically gone of the dollar. And so that's whenever they've been very good about interjecting and injecting these fake commodities into our food systems, into our pharmaceuticals. There's so many things that they're using to say, well, this is capitalism.
Right.
What it is, it's just poison into the human spirit. So let's get back to knowing what capitalism was at one point in time, maybe, trading shells, back and forth with each other. That's capitalism.
Right.
Peer-to-peer barter exchange of value and quality, value for value. Isn't that the new form of capitalism? Value for value, man.
That's what we want it to be. Yeah.
Well, that's up to the individual self.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're turning out here. So for me, it started with, podcasting 2.0,
Right.
and what Adam has been doing with that, and that's value for value. Basically, I deliver the very best product I can deliver, and then I let the consumer decide what the value of that is, and they can give it back.
Yeah.
But you're also doing that with these ranchers, and the same exact thing. You want to talk a little bit about value for value from a rancher's perspective in the beef initiative?
Sure. I mean, value for value with the rancher's perspective, you look at the food supply, you look at ranching, animal producing, grass farming, whatever you want to call it. And you look at what I have from me, let's say me 3-4 years ago, and then the rancher.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I went in there and looked at every one of those touch points that was hiding me from that rancher.
Right.
Why can't I see that rancher over there? Is it me? Is it because I don't pay attention to the rancher? Or is it because of a media cycle that doesn't allow me to see the ranchers except on Yellowstone on TV? You know, what is it? What are all that's in that metal? It's very cloudy.
Right.
So once I was able to look at the rancher and look at him face to face, you know, with a handshake, you know, shake a rancher's hand, look him in the eye and say, would you educate me? Well, then I learned, you know, basically what my grandfather had taught me, relearned or reflected upon, or, you know, kind of dug deep into my conscience and saying, well, the rancher really, the animal producer, the rancher has always been the same throughout the period of time, especially within regenerative. They had to use the land, and they had to use the land tools, and then they used the land and the land tools to consume.
Right.
Okay, every part of that, of regenerative farming and rancher, and the modern day rancher right now that we work with in the beef initiative, only thing that they do every day is exchange value for value. Think about that. Okay, I've got, we're in a drought.
Yeah.
What is that rancher thinking about? Well, I've got to find value for that cow to consume that grass so that cow will actually be of value.
Yeah.
And so every day, that's what a rancher is thinking. What is the value of value exchange here? What is the proof of work that I have to put into this cow that is a regenerative model, which is more of a basically a decentralized protocol on how to steward the land and steward the animal itself? Once you can look at that, then you can say, well, that's the most valuable thing in my life right now, is to have that relationship with that rancher. Therefore, I can bring value for value exchange. What does he want to exchange with me? Because this is how he's going to make sure that cow has that value of grass, that value of soil, that value of land, to where we can consume it, to where that nutrition that the beef is basically going to make my life better. Well, usually it's a handshake.
Yeah.
Usually it's a credit card on swipe. You know, you swipe
Sure.
your credit card. Well, now we can do that peer-to-peer barter exchange just like my grandfather used to do with a handshake. And
Yeah.
right now we can do wallet-to-wallet Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's value for value exchange. We're both playing a part of it. I don't have the USDA, the FDA, United States government, Department of Justice, JBS, Cargill, Tyson, National, all the middle wholesale distribution packing companies that have been created by those companies I just said. I don't ever have to talk to them or worry about them ever again.
Yeah.
And if everybody knows that they can do that as the individual self,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about feeding the world, man. Okay, worry about feeding yourself first.
Yeah, for sure.
That has value to it.
Yeah.
Do you think those chicken tendies have value? Maybe for your taste buds. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's how they've engineered them. You know, and so
Yeah.
whenever you can look at value for value exchange with the rancher that really is intentional about how he stewards the land and the animals, you have a gold mine, you know, and you're going to exchange time, travel, or time, talent, and treasure with that rancher. Makes you feel like, well, I got to buck up, you know, and
Yeah.
I talk about that all the time, you know, when people are saying you stay busy. You know, how can you do all what you've been doing? It's like, well, if I'm not working just as hard as these damn ranchers, then I'm a freaking charlatan, man.
Yeah.
You know, because they are. It's 24/7. It's value for value exchange. It's proof of work every day of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's apparent too. I saw Cole talking
You saw
last
Cole
night.
last night. I bet Cole hadn't slept in 24 hours last night.
Nah,
He ain't
and
going to tell you that.
And when I shook his hand, he was humble as hell. I mean, I told him, you know, like, I was actually telling my wife on the way in this morning, because we're near KNC, and it's like, you know, to think that meat that's in our freezer right now was literally just grazing down the street, maybe, I don't know the timeline, but a few months ago or something like that. And we've never had market access of that liking. I mean, we just picked up meat at the grocery store for as long as I can think of. over there in the city, and you don't even know. The last time we spoke in June, you were even breaking it down where it's like, oh, that meat probably came from South America. That probably wasn't even, USDA stamp on it, but it's not, right? So just thinking about that, I could ride down the street and know like, oh, our food came from these lands around us. It's just a phenomenal thought.
Well, it really is because, and everybody always wants to look at, the distractions that I talk about all the time. And they want to look at, the issues in the destruction and the deceptions. But that's how I got started, wrote The Harvest of Deception. But I really try to tell people, hopefully I have some trust out there, is quit worrying about all the deceptions, man.
Yeah.
You're wasting your damn time.
It's true.
They're always going to be there.
Yeah.
They're going to get worse. Why are you participating? Why are you validating? And I've worked with like people that have gotten over, drug addiction, alcoholism and stuff like that. And because my father was a counselor for 25 years. I've been around, the recovery aspect of things a lot. And, even when I was studying food intelligence, I went into homeless shelters. I fed homeless people. I looked at the addictions and everything. What people need to understand is that the most important thing that you can do in your life right now is not pay attention to the damn distractions.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's like you have to steward your own movie.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that, man. Have fun doing it. And a lot of people don't have the confidence to get started in doing that. Yeah. And so in what we are is we're addicted to the distractions. Right. Behaviorally, we're addicted to the distractions. And whenever you allow yourself to have that thought as you're driving with your wife today, I can't believe that we have this market access to this beef.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? How much does that change your life?
Oh, just that moment, just thinking about it. Yeah.
Just by having decentralized market access to good food.
Yeah.
How simple, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are so torn these days. They don't even know what food is.
Right.
You have to answer questions. It's like, all the, how many food shows are there on TV?
Gazillion of them.
Okay.
There's a whole network.
Yeah. How many, self-help videos are there out there on YouTube?
Gurus left and right.
It's just, it's nonstop. It doesn't work.
Yeah. No.
The only thing that works is basically allowing yourself to have that thought.
Yeah.
And people don't even allow themselves to have that thought anymore.
Yeah. Just moving. The mind is moving so fast nowadays. Everything is so high time preference, right? That most people don't even slow down to do that thought.
No.
Actually, kind of jumping around here, but you've shared some breathing exercises with me that have actually helped me.
Have you been doing those?
I have been. Those things are phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, I still think I need to work on it, obviously.
Well, it's always for the rest of your life. You probably should do it.
Right. So. And I couldn't articulate what the benefits I'm getting of it are, but I will say the main one is those 15 to 20 minutes of my morning are the time where my mind is focused the most. So it must be working.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. And I'm not a guru. None of that, man. I'm just a poor boy from West Texas that had some yearning and some wanderlust as a young kid. And I fulfilled a lot of that. But what I've learned is some little tricks from some pretty cool people.
Yeah.
And I was in Thailand, I learned how to breathe and do breathing exercises. And then, here we have Wim Hof.
Yeah.
He does all that. He does his cold showers, which are phenomenal. I don't always do them, but when I need to get my mind ready, hell yeah, I'm going to take a cold shower. But, I did it this morning. I was in the hotel room and I was like, man, I feel less whenever I don't do those breathing things.
Yeah.
And I'm not this, kumbaya crap, man. It's like, I'm going to sit here and give myself 15 or 30 minutes to breathe right.
Right.
And I'm not going to overly analyze it. I'm not going to try to overly define it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it because after the fact, man, I feel better. I can think better. I can start my day better. I start my day with a cup of coffee. I drink the coffee. I don't look at anything. I turn on the breathing. Today I think I did, after the sequence of events, because you do breath holds, because I do, I do diving. I used to do a lot of scuba diving, but I wanted to get into basically, deep breath diving, to where you go down for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, now I can do my breath for 4 minutes. And so it gives me an accomplishment to start my day. My mind is clear. it didn't take anything. It wasn't expensive. It was free.
Yeah,
right. And then now it's a healthy addiction.
Yeah.
And you get to that where you like, man, I need this. It's okay to need to have breathing exercises in the morning. It takes, you pause before you start rushing into that day.
That's key. The pause. Yeah.
The pause.
Slowing it down. Because
I'm okay to pause these days. It's kind of fun, man.
It's amazing when you actually do it, because a lot of people hear and they're like, yeah. But like the amount of people that, and I keep saying the people, but it's we're all guilty of it. It's, that phone is always buzzing. Right?
Yeah.
And you wake up in the morning and most people are whack, right? Have it right there in their face and everybody. So that pause early in the morning would definitely set you up for success. And that's why I continue to do it, because I find myself to be that person where it's like working on video or working on audio or working on the next project, or like thinking I got to get my workout in and all that. Like immediately the morning starts and the brain is already like,
it is, man,
organizing myself. So
man, the amount of messages I get now and that phone going off is like, man, I ain't touching that. I'm scared of it until I do some breathing or something, man.
Yeah.
Because it does. It's just a trick. It's a life hack, whatever word we want to use. And, I'm not going to be one of those dudes on, YouTube sitting cross-legged going, do it. There's guys out there that are very good at it. Wim Hof is masterful. Yeah. I don't listen to Wim Hof. I don't like his voice. So, I find something that's comfortable and I do it.
Yeah. It's just a difficult thing to achieve. And
proof of work though, man.
Well, the thing is,
I dare everybody right now, I'm looking at the camera, go out there and learn how to hold your breath for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride.
And I want to ask you about the deep sea diving, but before,
sure.
Before I say that, it's just like, especially from a creator's perspective where, proof of work is extremely important for what we do.
Right.
And it's one of those things where it's like, my messages on my phone are not filled with just a bunch of degenerates that just want to like talk about like the basketball game last night. It's filled with other creators that want to collaborate, that want to do things with me, that you may have some deadlines or expectations with. So like even that isn't a distraction in itself, right? When you're trying to just like continuously be creative and be, so I just wanted to make that assumption too, that, the signal quality could be good quality that's coming into your phone, but it's still a complete distraction from you focusing on yourself, especially early in the day.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And that's where we, none of us were taught to be our own mind filters with all this when they're all, because Generation X, older than some of you guys out there. But one thing I did is I went through the adoption of basically the internet, technology, online software, all that kind of stuff. Sure. And, when in my time as, being a research analysis in the telecommunications industry, we didn't know the amount of information that we were going to be shoving into our brains that we do every day. So the amount of input that we get needs a filter these days. Yeah. It really does. And nobody's going to be that filter for you. That's when you have to basically get to, why do I desire what I desire? Right. Why do I desire to do this on Instagram all day? Yeah. Is it because I'm lustful? Is it because I want a friend? Is it because I want to find a new exercise? What is it? Yeah. Why do you desire what you desire? Once you can kind of define that, you do become your own mind filter. And that's the first step. How do you do that? Well, I quit watching TV. I don't watch Netflix. If something comes highly recommended, then I'll watch it. Sure. But beyond that, man, bullshit. You ain't getting into this no more.
I love that.
Screw you.
And I bet rarely anything comes through that filter.
Hell no.
There isn't shit to watch.
No, and I have no problem. Because I can look at people and say, oh, really? Yeah. Oh, you think that's good, huh? Yeah. Tell me what's good, man. Nobody can tell me what's good anymore.
That says more about them, right? Where you just say, oh, this is amazing. And you're just thinking,
really, tell me why. Right. Why is it amazing?
And they probably can't have to.
They don't. It's, but it's like I said, it's not a judgment, man. I was the worst. We're all bad. Yeah. You do go through a Netflix series and you stay home all weekend and you watched all freaking 12 episodes of, what was that? The Ozarks, whatever. Yeah, everybody does that shit. But after a while, it's just like, man, that's kind of rent seeking.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Right. Yeah. And personally, if I go through and I have gone through in the past, like physically and mentally, I feel like shit. Like I'm like, damn, like while I was watching it might have been good. The wife might have been involved. It was fantastic. But afterwards, I'm like, holy shit, I'm never going to get those 12 hours back. It's fucking gone forever. Yeah. And then I didn't even like the end of the show anyways. It was fucking bullshit.
It is. Oh, but it's okay to walk away from all that and become your own mind filter. It's a net positive, man. It really is.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah. I like to listen to a lot of music, man. I'm a music guy.
Yeah.
How lucky am I that to listen to music as, you know, I've given myself an opportunity to enjoy music in a way that I used to. That's how I was raised.
Yep.
We were a very musical family. You know, I was listening to Doobie Brothers when I was 3 years old on the stereo on Saturday mornings. That's how I woke up.
Yeah.
You know, I learned how to listen to vibration. And so all these years, you know, I put a strong value into vibration and strong positive vibrations.
Yeah.
And that's all music is.
Yeah, music's incredible. I mean, it's also falling into the hands of the record conglomerates and all that stuff. That's another.
It's ridiculous.
That's another business or another industry that needs value for value. 1,000%.
Yeah, it really does, and we're going there.
Yeah,
so.
I believe so. Yeah. The deep sea diving, was that something that you just always wanted to do and just perfected it or got better at it? Or?
You know, scuba diving is how I went into it first, and what I grew up with Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom on Saturday afternoons at 4:00. Okay. That was it. We had 3 channels. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Jacques Cousteau was a big guy.
Okay.
He was the first guy that did a lot of scuba diving. Okay. You know, he kind of pioneered into scuba diving. Well, he dove this place. It's called the Blue Hole. Okay. And it's outside of Belize, which used to be British Honduras at the time that he was on TV. Well, I promised myself as a young kid I was going to go dive the Blue Hole. Yeah. So, you know, I come from West Texas. When I got to Austin, you know, I started pursuing, you know, the water because I grew up in West Texas. It's freaking desert. Yeah. So I got into water and the rivers and lakes and, you know, I got into scuba diving and I started going around the world and scuba diving. And because I had an obligation to that young boy. Right. You know, and I said, well, you know, nobody's going to do it for you. So how do you do it? Yeah. And so I became a very good scuba diver. And so I used to go and do, you know, reef walls. I did the Blue Hole and I got to where I could go down pretty deep. And then after that, it's like, okay, that's cool. Well, let's start trying to train to just hold your breath. Yeah. Let's go down in that universe. And so before COVID, I was going back to Thailand. I was going to ride a motorcycle across Thailand again and go deeper into the culture of Thai, you know, the Thais and the Thai people. And then I was probably going to end up in Florida and start doing this diving. So it still might be on the menu. Okay. And then the beef initiative kicked in, is that? Yeah, we went into COVID and it's like, okay, man, this is going to be something, you know, my food intelligence was going in a different direction. But when COVID hit, I said, like, all right, I'm going to have to pause here. I didn't even get my passport renewed. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to wait and see what this is. And so now that they're getting ready for round 2. You know, I got my passport and, you know, here we go. I mean, I'm going to Australia in January, probably going to go out and see Captain Sid in Thailand next year sometime. Is he out there already? He's in Turkey right now. So, oh, really? Yeah. I haven't been following Sid. Yeah. He's not posting much, but he's there. He's in Turkey and then he's going somewhere else. So. Yeah. Had Sid on the show. He's a great conversation. Yeah, he had a great road trip or motorcycle trip this year. Yeah, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you. So we last talked in June, and I want to ask you. You know, what has changed since June when it comes to the Beef Initiative and the food intelligence mission that you're on. Before that, though, this is actually a requested question. Sure. What is a cowboy? What is a cowboy? A cowboy. Is it a lifestyle, or what does one have to be considered a cowboy? Well, that's a very good question. Okay. And because, you know, I've always called myself a hippie punk cowboy. Because I did. I grew up with hippies. Yeah. I grew up with guys riding Harleys. Yeah. I grew up with guys that were hardcore biker gangs. I grew up with hardcore cowboys. And the thing about what I just said, they're basically the same damn thing. Are they? Okay. A true Texas cowboy is a dude that basically from days gone by, if you look at the history of a cowboy, the cowboy in the state of Texas came from the vaquero. That's we leveraged into how the Mexican culture came into Texas. Before we were Texans, we were Texians. Okay. And so you look at how that happened. What was a cowboy? Well, a cowboy was somebody that he had a good horse, transportation. Okay. He didn't go by too many rules. He didn't follow a lot of people's authority. And what he did is he pioneered his travels around this earth with a good form of transportation. What that gave him is a freedom of mind, to where he didn't have any barriers. He didn't have any walls. And a true cowboy, you even look at today, you go up there in West Texas, there's some ranchers up there. There's some true damn cowboys that all they have is a truck, and all they have is a saddle, and all they have is a horse and a trailer. And that's all they do. They go from ranch to ranch and they work. They have their tools of trade.
Yep.
You know, they have the rope. They have everything you need to be a cowboy. You got your boots, you got your hat, you got your, you know, you got your chaps, you got everything you need. But what all those are tools of freedom for him, because he knows that the only thing he wants in this life is basically to not have to answer to anybody but those stars at night. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to sleep outside. He don't want any of this stuff that's going on. And so you look at a cowboy like that, you look at Cole Bolton, you know, and you look how both him and he was raised in East Texas, I was raised in West Texas. We're the same damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, just that he had a direct line to basically to steward the land and animals, and he's taking advantage of that. I had a direct line to basically steward adventure, and that's what I've always done. I used big tech as for a form of adventure. I always had a cowboy spirit in there. You know, I never bought into the basically, you know, I didn't go to college. I used to go to UT and I'd just go to classes just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's a cowboy spirit. It's like, screw you. I'm going to leverage you. You think you're leveraging me? No, I'm going to leverage you.
Love it.
And so if you can have that, you know, I go, you know, I would leave Austin sometimes and I'd go up into New Mexico and cowboy, and we do pack trails. We do elk hunts. We do all kinds of stuff. We break some horses. But I'd talk to those guys up there, those cowboys, and I'd tell them, I was like, man, I know a bunch of damn punk rockers in Austin, and you two are the same damn person. It's just that he has a mohawk or whatever, you know, whatever, the boots and, you know, chain and here and this, and you got your cowboy hat and you've got your pencil drawings and you got your poetry. Yeah. They're the same person. It's just that we kind of present ourselves in different ways, but to the true essence, it's just that search of freedom with good transportation.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, especially if we talked about it on TV, you just put a hat on somebody and call them a cowboy and say, nah, that's not it. So,
well, I grew up in the 70s where there was that movie with John Travolta, Urban Cowboy. You know, and that's what we got. But great movie from the 70s. Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's, you know, it's the 70s, but it's kind of fun. But it's okay to be a urban cowboy in spirit. It's okay to watch Yellowstone and kind of have that craving. Yeah. Because it steps you in the right direction. But, you know, I could take some people out to places, you know, out there in the old Comanche lands of West Texas. You want to see a cowboy? I'll show you a cowboy.
Awesome. Glad I asked. Great answer.
Yeah.
For whoever asked the question, I hope that was a good enough answer. It was great for me.
It was a good question. I like that. I'm glad people are talking about it, because what we need to do is we need to bring that cowboy spirit. That's what I talk about. It's like, it's time to, you know, let's leverage the cowboy. I even tell Cole, I said, damn Cole, we're going to turn pop culture on its head. Yeah. Because of the grit that we bring for that yearning for freedom. Yeah. That's it.
And that's what we all need.
Yeah. That's all we need. It's okay. Yeah. Let's do it. We have the means. We have the tools. Yeah. But, you know, you have to point your compass in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And have some good leaders. That's important, especially when you're getting started. Right.
You bet.
Don't fall in the hands of charlatans.
No.
All right, Slim. So the last time we talked, you on the show was about June. This was before Crawford. This was before the first meat conference, beef conference. Now you're about to have a second one. What has changed since we last spoke in June? And what's something that we can expect coming forward?
Well, and actually, the first one was in April. It was in Kerrville, Texas.
Yep, you're right on that one.
And then we had Crawford in July.
So second
then
one.
We're doing Whiteout Pastures in September. It's 2 weeks out.
Yep.
What they've done is they've been a stepping stone.
Yep.
The first one was discovery. I come from project management and big tech.
Yep.
So I look at things as projects. And so this year was a project of events. Started out as conferences. Now we're calling them summits, because it's basically, here we go. We've stepped up each time.
Yeah.
The first one was discovery. Let's see who's paying attention. Let's see who's actually listening to the message and the mission of food intelligence and market access, and basically, you know, saving children's lives by basically new consumption models. And so we found out that, man, across the board, we got a lot of people paying attention. We got a lot of people trying to be intentional with maybe making those changes in their lives.
Right.
And then we got into Crawford. Basically, let's define what we're doing here. And, you know, working with Jason Rick of Rick Ranches and having the conference in Colorado was a great way to define who we are, because everybody there, they knew exactly why they were there. They knew what they wanted to contribute, what they wanted to take away, and what they wanted to do as far as the next step into their lifestyle, right? Well, here we go. We're in Georgia at White Oak Pastures with Will Harris. It's September 16th and 17th and 18th in Bluffton, Georgia. Well, guess what? White Oak Pastures, Will Harris is the pinnacle of regenerative farming and ranching.
Yeah.
He created his own, he took a ranch that his father was a commodity cowboy, used the herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, blah, 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 all the grains, all that. Well, he went back to the regenerative way his great-grandfathers did. And so he's been doing that for about 25 years. And so now everybody can come to this summit, which is the Beef Initiative and Food Intelligence Summit. You guys want to know how to change your lives, how to run your lives, how to steward your lives moving forward with intentionality, with proof of work, with basically a call to action, with market access to decentralized life. We're doing it all in Georgia. And the thing about these events, they're hard to get to.
Yeah.
You don't get off the airplane and go to your hotel and Uber into the conference center.
Right.
You have to make intentional plans. It's intentionality at its finest. So these events, they're not a numbers game. Right now, they're a very high quality value for value game. And that's what I love about them, because we don't make money off of these things. I try to break even, man.
Yeah.
We try to break even, maybe some gas money.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I'm going to keep those that way. That way we can actually use these, people can use these as gateways of, if maybe it's the mindset, gateway of maybe how to become your own mind filter, gateway into your new consumption model. Whatever it is, you're going to find it as an individual.
Yeah.
But we're doing it with Bitcoin and beef, pure animal protein. And so we educate on Bitcoin and beef, pure animal protein. What all does that consider? What is that? What is it now? What was it? And how do we show that we've had the proof of work? Like last night, Cole, I talked to everybody. He's like, he's traded beef. Now he's got a full Bitcoin because he decided he wasn't going to buy Bitcoin. He was going to exchange value for Bitcoin and beef. And he's done that. Now he's a full coiner. He likes that. He's proud of it. It's historical. So everybody's looking at Bitcoin and saying, well, how does it get adopted? Well, you're looking at it, guys. It's happening in real time, man.
Real time. Yeah.
We've done over $200,000 worth of beef sales through the Beef Initiative.
Yeah.
We're not making a lot of money off that because we're building infrastructure.
Sure.
But we can say we have proof of work. I don't think we have a technology stack.
Yeah.
So we get to talk about these events. And so we just lay it all on the table, man. We're going to talk about the heritage woman and where it was then, where it is now. The people are out there that are living their lives that are extremely happy, extremely powerful in everything they're doing. And we're bringing the woman into Bitcoin, into beef, into nutrition, and we're giving them a stage. And
Love
from mining Bitcoin to custody of Bitcoin to transacting in Bitcoin, how do you get market access to pure animal protein or pure produce, whatever it is that you need, you're going to find it at these events.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I love that you're keeping it that way, where it's intentional.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make sure that what I always think about when I think about conferences that go wrong is Miami, right? Like the Bitcoin conference. Like when you just open up the floodgates for anybody to just be able to walk in.
Yeah, it gets polluted.
It really does, fast too.
Yeah.
It's not even, and you can tell when it's, fiat seeking, right? Like they just want to pump their numbers. There's a lot of money that goes into them, respects to all that, back to the capitalism stuff. There's a thin line for me. But this, on the other hand, that makes a lot of sense to me. You're there because you want to be there, which means your antennas are up, which means you're going to absorb the signal, which means you're going to go back and bring that to your community and push it around, as opposed to just being there to do a photo bomb or a photo drop with somebody.
Yeah, and it is the sign of the times, and that's why I don't want to call them a conference anymore.
Yeah.
It's not about PowerPoint trend, it's not about happy hours, even though people, whatever it is, it's about freaking, a lifestyle. I tell people that the Beef Initiative is an international lifestyle. You just don't understand it yet.
Right.
And I think that we're starting to prove that. I could go out right now and I could have a conference in, a cool city, and we could bring 1,000 people in probably. Yeah. And make it to where we could do that. Sure. I could hire a conference team, and we could put it all together. We could do the flair, and we could do all the marketing. But we're grassroots, man. Yeah. We're grass fed and grassroots.
Right.
And so, whatever that means, it will grow in size, but it'll be done in a grassroots way.
Right.
And it'll be done with intentionality.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about that intentionality. For the people that are not thinking in that mindset, what would you not advise? Because that sounds very guru-ish, but
Right.
like strategies that you found yourself to focus on that when it comes to making decisions.
It's just as the individual, get to the source of the seed of what's bothering you in life.
Gotcha.
What is your fear?
Yeah.
Because you either have truth or fear. Fear is a lie.
Yep.
So you have truth and lies. So if you're living in fear, find out what the source of the seed of that is. Usually it's basically a lack of nutrition to your brain. I don't find anybody that consumes animal protein in the way that we kind of, that I talk about, that lives in fear. And if they do have fear, they overcome it because it's a form of nutritional empowerment that your brain is not being afforded right now. So if you can find what you're afraid of and identify it, be transparent about it, and then you can actually start devising and engineering your own, solutions.
Yeah.
Source of the seed of solutions. And so, if people aren't looking at food these days, we're not talking about the global industrial food shift that's going on right now. A lot of people are confused by that.
Yeah.
And it's daunting. It's been planned for years, though. I guarantee it. This is nothing new that is playing out. Bugs, this is nothing new. They've had this planned. And so if you're afraid of all that, well, leave it. And then you create a new market access of understanding, of thought, of food, whatever it is for you first. Go out there and buy a freaking quarter of a cow, put it in your freezer, consume a quarter of a cow over a month, and tell me how much your life changed.
For sure.
It will change forever.
I'll vouch for that right
And that's
now.
all you got to do. That's all you got to do. It doesn't have to be less than $500 probably, something like that. Quarter of a cow's, whatever. Depends on the rancher. Depends on if you're going through the beef initiative, right?
Bingo.
So, but go out there and consume pure animal protein and forget everything that you were taught.
Yeah.
And just eat steak, eat burgers, and just lose everything else for 30 days. It's a 30-day damn challenge.
Yeah.
I guarantee you your life will change and you won't have to do anything except basically create a new market access to understanding of who you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm living proof. It works.
Yeah.
Came here, bought the freezer bundle from K&C, and I've been nothing but steak the whole time, and the most productive I've ever been.
And this is not
the most
about
creative
selling.
I've ever been.
It's not.
It's
not about selling beef, man. We're gonna sell beef.
No, but like a lot of people who are going through those fears and those feelings and their emotions don't even think that it's chemically happening, right?
Yeah.
Like inside, like you said, in their brain, they think it's like outer surface stuff.
No, it's all internal, man.
Right. It could
until we change that freaking internal chemical algorithm in our lives, lack thereof chemicals in your system. Then you're going to be spinning your wheels, man. Yeah. It's the days and times we live in, man. Yeah. 70% of Americans, 2 prescriptions or more. Yep. 78% of us obese, overweight, diabetic, pre-diabetic. Man, it just never stops. You want statistics, I'll give you the damn, it's not good. Yeah. Accept it. It's not good. It's not. And you're part of it. We're all part of it. I was part of it. Yeah. In certain ways, we all played a part in this. Absolutely. And if we can change our consumer demand into something that's basically foolproof, because it's how we got here. It's how we got here the last million, whoever it is, whatever argument we want to say, let's say 10,000 years. Sure. It's how we got here. We ate and consumed animal protein. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, and that's why I'm a big fan too of the Meat Mafia guys as well, because they go deeper into like nutritional stuff like that. Well, they came to me in the very beginning, and it's like, well, okay, this is what you guys are doing. You guys write about this because you guys want to take this food intelligence very deep. Yeah, I've got to keep on building this new corporation, this new industry of beef. Yeah, so I let them write for my Substack, Harrison and Brett, and so they got started. They made those life changes. They both went through life, ordeals to where they basically engineered their own suffering. And so the suffering won't be engineered upon them anymore. And now look at them. Now they're authoritative with that message. And it's based on food intelligence. Yeah. And anybody can do this, man. They all both went to college. They got their degrees, I think. I don't know. But now they're doing their own thing. Now they're living the cowboy life. So but
Love
they
it.
got to get boots and hats. And, you know, I saw Brett with a damn cowboy hat and he didn't have boots on. So that's just, you don't do that. You don't do that.
Don't do that?
Don't
Okay.
do
There's rules
that.
to the game.
Well, there is, unless you're a true cowboy.
Gotcha.
I think Cole had desert boots on last night. They're called desert boots, but they're not cowboy boots. But he got a damn good story, and I'll tell that to y'all here in about a month. We got to hold on to it. There's a good story coming.
Okay,
The reason he
looking forward to
wasn't
that.
been wearing boots lately. So
Gotcha. As for ranchers that have onboarded to the beef initiative, has there been an increase? Any numbers you can share from the last time we spoke in June? Or
yeah, I think we're close to 70 to 80
Wow.
as far as ranchers coming into the platform itself.
Yep.
I've got a line of about 5 to 7 ranchers now that we're giving the white glove approach to.
okay,
And we're not just going, hey, get Bitcoin. We're going to educate them on the
Right.
technology stack, the why of Bitcoin, how they can leverage it, what their intentionality is with Bitcoin,
right,
what they're trying to overcome, the store of value that they need. It's a process.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just not like, hey, I got a Moon wallet, you got a Blue wallet, can we exchange?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. Sure, why not? Nobody's to say that's not the way to go, right? But if, you know, for an e-commerce system and to where we can have full market access, that we can play in the same centralized market access that they've designed,
Yeah.
we'll do it in a decentralized way with Bitcoin,
Yeah.
in the way that we have a vertical integration from the soil all the way to your fork, and nobody can tell us no.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
can't. I mean, until they really come down on us, they can't say anything. I don't think they're going to come down on us
Yeah.
because we're following the law better than the law follows itself.
And
know.
that's where they're fucked in,
Uh-huh.
in that situation.
It's true. Well,
Love
and,
that, yeah.
And if they come after us for doing decentralized food
Yep.
market access, they're going to expose themselves,
Right.
and they'll have some type of, you know, deception.
Right.
You know, just like the deception of the cow being a carbon hazard, deception of climate change that they're pushing, deception that cricket protein is better than beef protein. You know, if people are really willing to believe that model and to really stand by it, well, they're going to have to live with that. So go ahead. But the people that are truly intentional about basically, you know, living in a different way that is based on pure animal protein, man, the market access is right in front of you. It's here. It's the beef initiative.
Yeah.
We have proof of work. We're moving forward hard right now. Our sales have been tremendous. Coal is going to be the number one supplier for, you know, beef initiative, KNC cattle. But we're going to have multiple upon multiple ranchers selling subscription models through the beef initiative across the nation.
Love that.
And then, like I said, I'm going to Australia.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go try to be in Europe. I'm going to be in Asia. The beef initiative is global.
Yeah.
We're building out locally and we're broadcasting globally. Anybody can do this anywhere they are in the world, and we have a protocol that works.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, it's complicated.
Yeah. As the best things are.
Right.
Love it. That's amazing work. Slim, that's kind of all I got for you, man. I appreciate your time coming down here.
Man, Def, it's always a blast. I mean, I'm really going to enjoy working with you.
Likewise, man.
I mean, I respect how you do everything within your podcast itself, your editing, your, you know, everything that you got going. You know, I want to be a part of your progress, you know, in this space, because we got to get the word out. You know, we're all going podcasting 2.0. It's sound communications, it's decentralized. So let's pioneer together. Let's kind of show some people how to do it.
Yeah, I'm game for that. We've been talking a lot about it, and that's on the podcasting side of things. That's something I'm very passionate about. Is decentralizing the information, because you can do a lot of things with podcasting. You could joke around, you could fuck around, do all that, but the information being decentralized is important, because this is how my generation, or at least people my age, are learning the most. They're absorbing it through a podcast, and it's something we need to protect.
Choose your consumption model well.
Absolutely.
With your audio and your video content.
Absolutely.
Be intentional about it. Don't be random. Don't be a motard.
Right.
You know, with the motivational videos, all that kind of stuff. Leave those. Become your own damn movie. It's okay to do that. Cowboy up. Become your own damn movie. It's fun.
Absolutely.
Come
It's
along
fine.
for the ride, damn
It's
it.
fine to live this life the way y'all want to live it, not the way they tell you to live it.
Right.
Slim, any call to action? Tell the listeners where they can follow
Everybody
you.
get your ass to Georgia, September 16th, 17th, 18th. If you can't make it, we'll do our best to share it with you after the fact. But, you know, get to the Beef Initiative platform, and, you know, everything that we've talked about, you can find a rabbit hole of food intelligence, of a new market access to pure animal protein, maybe locally, maybe through the Beef Initiative, whatever your scenario or case is. In Boston, you had to order a beef box.
Yep.
Now you can go visit Cole in person. So
Absolutely.
everybody kind of follows that path. Once they get to the Beef Initiative platform, you're going to follow where find out where you fall in that basically that integration that we're doing back into clean food.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the only call to action. Follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, at Modern T Man.
At Modern T Man. Be the best thing you guys ever do.
And,
Trust me.
And then we got at TX Slim Media that we're kicking off. We're doing an audio docu-series. Go listen to that. That's kind of documenting my road trip across the United States this year and the years before. There's a story that has not been told yet, and we're trying to produce it in kind of a cool way. Like I said, we're going to turn pop culture on its head, so get ready.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to be in a documentary, 1 or 2 of those. We're doing the audio docu-series. We're going to bring all the punches out, and we're going to leverage what they've leveraged against us because we were trustworthy. Well, we're going to form a new form of trust, and it's going to be with content that is decentralized and is based on intentionality, trust, transparency, and values.
Amazing. Marty's not here, but in the vein of Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
We're going to win.
Yes,
right? That's what Marty would say.
Peacock.
Yeah, I won't do that one, but
Right.
we're going to win. Appreciate you guys as always. If you want this 4K content, check us out on Bitcoin TV. Let's get away from the YouTube algorithm. They can shut us down at any single point. We don't want to respect that. And as we discussed here, value for value, if you got any value out of this conversation, please check us out on Podcasting 2.0 platforms. Our favorite are Fountain and Breeze, but there's many of them out there, and we need to support them all. We need to keep this medium decentralized. We appreciate you guys as always. Until next week, Slim, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dev. Appreciate you. Peace.
There you go.